The rain fell like silver bullets the night the phone rang. Victor Ashford had signed the divorce papers 9 months ago. Black ink over broken promises. Now, sitting in his penthouse where life and death decisions were made as casually as coffee orders, he didn't know that one call would change everything. The voice on the other end trembled. "Mr. Ashford, there's something you need to know." He gripped his whiskey glass tighter. 9 months. The exact time it takes for a life to form. For a secret to ripen. For a past he'd buried to surface again. She didn't say the mother's name. She didn't have to. He already knew. If you've ever had to choose between who you are and who you could be, drop a like and tell us where you're watching from. Because this story asks whether a dangerous man can learn to love without destroying everything around him. There would be a night when Victor would hold a birth certificate with hands that had held guns. A moment when he'd have to choose between the empire built with blood and a son he didn't know existed. And there would be Celeste, the ex-wife he never managed to forget, standing in the doorway with truths that should have remained buried. Some divorces don't end with signed papers. They continue at 3 a.m. when you reach for the other side of the bed and find only cold silk. They continue in the perfume that still lives in your stored clothes. They continue in the children you never had, until suddenly you did. Victor Ashford commanded the most feared organization in Chicago. His word was law, his name, a death sentence. But fatherhood doesn't obey hierarchies, doesn't respect power. And the child that was coming carried not just his DNA, but secrets that could destroy both his empire and the heart he swore he no longer had. This is the story of how a mafia boss discovered that the greatest danger doesn't come from bullets or betrayals. It comes from a phone call at 11:47 p.m., 9 months after signing his divorce. Of how a man who controlled everything lost control of the only moment that mattered. And of how Celeste, the woman he'd pushed out of his life, returned carrying more than resentment. It all begins in a Chicago December, where skyscrapers looked like tombstones against the grey sky. Where jazz clubs serve more than music. They serve deals, threats, destinies. Where the smell of deep dish pizza mixes with snow, and where men like Victor live in shadow, between the legal and the inevitable. It's a city that doesn't forgive weakness. And fatherhood, he was about to discover, was the most dangerous weakness of all. And it all begins with a lie that Celeste told, or maybe with the truth that Victor never wanted to hear. The line between the two had always been thin in their marriage. Now, with a baby in between, it had disappeared completely. Victor remembered the last time he saw Celeste like someone remembers a car crash, in violent flashes, out of sequence. She stood in the living room of their Gold Coast loft, the one overlooking Lake Michigan, wearing a burgundy dress that looked like anticipated mourning. His lawyer had left the papers on the glass table, Mont Blanc pen beside them. All very civilized for the end of 6 years. "Aren't you even going to ask why?" Her voice was crystal breaking in slow motion. Victor poured bourbon. Didn't offer her any. "I already know why." "Do you?" Celeste took a step forward. Her heels echoed like accusations. "Then tell me, Victor, enlighten me." He turned the glass. Golden light danced on the walls. Outside, Chicago glittered indifferently. "You got tired of being married to a monster." The slap came so fast he didn't even try to avoid it. The mark of her fingers burned on his cheek, but what she said after truly hurt. "I got tired of loving a ghost." Victor signed the papers that night, ink still fresh when she walked out the door, never looking back. He stayed there in the room that still smelled like her perfume, jasmine and broken promises, and did what he always did, locked the pain somewhere dark inside himself, and moved forward. 9 months later, that pain would return, with interest. Victor's office occupied the top floor of a warehouse that didn't appear on official maps. Exposed brick, leather chairs, the smell of aged whiskey and irrevocable decisions. Roman, his right hand, was talking about a delayed shipment, but Victor wasn't listening. His mind was in that room, that burgundy dress, that slap that still burned. "Boss?" Roman waved his hand. "You hearing me?" "Continue." But before Roman could, the phone rang. Private line. Only 5 people in the world had that number. Celeste was one of them. Victor answered on the 3rd ring. Silence on the other end. Then a female voice, young, nervous. "Mr. Ashford, who are you?" "Nurse Sarah from Northwestern Memorial Hospital." Pause. Sound of paper being turned. "Sir, there's something you need to know." The world slowed down. Victor felt the cold of the glass against his palm, the weight of the gun in his holster. Roman's breathing stopping. "A patient was admitted here today, premature labor. She asked us to call you." "Her name?" Another pause. Longer. "Celeste Ashford. I mean, Bennett." She went back to her maiden name. The glass slipped, shattered on the floor. Bourbon spread like golden blood. "And the baby?" His voice sounded distant, as if someone else was asking. "A boy. Healthy. And sir," the nurse took a deep breath, "she told me to tell you, he has your eyes." Victor hung up, or the line dropped. He didn't know. All he knew was that 9 months ago Celeste had walked out of his life carrying more than resentment, and he, so smart, so in control, so blind, had never noticed. Roman broke the silence. "Boss, what was that?" But Victor was already grabbing his keys, his jacket, the Glock he always carried, because he was going to a hospital, but he was still Victor Ashford, still the man who made enemies stop breathing. "Cancel everything today." He stopped at the door. "And Roman. Nobody knows about this, nobody." "Knows about what?" Victor looked at the broken glass on the floor, at the bourbon that looked like golden tears. "That I just found out I'm a father." The door closed behind him, and for the first time in 9 months, Victor Ashford felt fear. Not of bullets, not of betrayals, but of a 7-pound baby who had his eyes and the power to destroy everything he'd built, or save him. Northwestern Memorial smelled of antiseptic and fragile hopes. Victor entered through the VIP wing, the one billionaires and mobsters used, where privacy cost more than surgeries. His Italian shoes made no sound on the linoleum, a ghost in a corridor of fluorescent lights. Nurse Sarah waited for him, no more than 25 years old, hands trembling when she recognized him. "Mr. Ashford." It wasn't a question. "Where is she?" Sarah looked around. Empty corridor, but walls had ears. "Room 412, but sir, she didn't ask to see you." "Then why did you call?" The nurse swallowed hard. "Because when I asked who the father was, she said your name. Then she started crying. Then she said not to call. But I saw her eyes, sir. Saw the way she said Victor, like someone says home." Pause. "I thought you should know." Victor pulled an envelope from his pocket. 5,000 in $100 bills. "You never saw me." "Sir, I don't want—" "It's not a bribe." He placed the money in her hand. "It's for doing the right thing when nobody would." Sarah closed her fingers around the envelope, nodded toward the corridor. "Third room on the right. And sir—" She touched his arm. "Be gentle. She almost died today." The words hit like punches. Victor didn't respond, just walked. Door ajar, soft light spilling out, and behind it, crying, small, fragile, new. Victor Ashford had ordered men killed, had burned businesses, destroyed families. But standing there, hearing that cry, he felt something he hadn't felt since childhood, fear of not being enough. He pushed the door open. Celeste was reclined in the bed, raven hair loose over the white pillow, deep circles under her eyes. Pale skin, but her eyes, those honey-colored eyes he saw in dreams, were fixed on the baby in her arms. She didn't notice Victor entering. She was all there, all mother, all love. "Hi, little one." Her voice was warm honey. "I'm your mother. And I promise—" She kissed the baby's forehead. "I promise you'll never know the fear I knew." Victor felt the ground disappear beneath his feet. "Celeste!" She froze. The baby kept sleeping, but Celeste raised her head slowly, and when her eyes met his, Victor saw something that broke him. She wasn't surprised, she was resigned. "How did you find out?" Voice hoarse, tired. "The nurse called. I asked her not to." "I know." Silence. Just monitors beeping. Baby breathing. 2 hearts breaking at different times. Victor took a step. "Why didn't you tell me?" Celeste looked at her son, then at him. "Because I'd already decided. 9 months ago, when I signed those papers, I decided he wouldn't grow up in this world. In your world. He's my son. He's my choice." Fire in her eyes now. "Did you choose me, Victor? When your business mattered more than our dinners? When you came back with blood on your hands and lies on your lips? Did you choose me?" He didn't answer. Couldn't. "So don't talk to me about rights." Celeste pressed the baby against her chest. "I carried him alone. Threw up alone. Cried alone. And today, when I almost died bringing him into this world, I was alone. You didn't have to be. I had to be. A tear fell. She didn't wipe it. Because if I called you, you'd come. And if you came, I'd forgive you. And if I forgave you, her voice broke. Our son would grow up watching his mother love a man who loves danger more than her. Victor sat in the chair beside the bed, hands trembling. Can I hold him? Celeste closed her eyes. Internal war. Then slowly she extended the baby. The world stopped when Victor held his son. 7 pounds of future, warm skin, smell of new. And when the baby opened his eyes, storm grey like his, Victor Ashford, the man who hadn't cried since he was 12, felt something wet running down his face. What's his name? Voice broken. Celeste looked away. Haven't decided yet. Lie. He saw it in her eyes. Then let me give one. Victor kissed his son's forehead. Luca, it means bringer of light. Celeste sobbed. You don't believe in light. I do now. And in that hospital room between lies and truths, Victor Ashford held his son and made a silent promise. He wouldn't be the father he had. He'd be the father Luca deserved, even if it killed him. Celeste asked him to leave 3 times. Victor ignored all of them. He stayed there in the uncomfortable chair beside the bed, holding Luca while Celeste pretended to sleep. But he could see, her eyes opening occasionally, checking if he was still there, if the baby was okay, if this was real. At 4 in the morning, she gave up the pretense. You should go. Voice hoarse from held back crying. Your men will ask where you are. My men know not to ask. Victor. Celeste. He interrupted her gently. Just answer me one thing. When did you find out? She looked at the ceiling, breathed deep. 2 weeks after signing the divorce. The information hit him like a bullet. 2 weeks. I was going to tell you. A tear escaped. I swear I was. I picked up the phone 1,000 times. Drove to your building twice, but every time... She looked at him finally. Every time I remembered why I left you. And a baby doesn't change that, Victor. Doesn't change who you are. Maybe it changes who I can be. Celeste laughed, without humor. How many times have I heard that? I'll change, Celeste. This is the last job. After this we'll leave. But it was never the last. Always one more. Always. Victor looked at Luca sleeping in his arms. So small. So trusting. My father told me once that men like us don't have a choice. We're born into a family, inherit a war, die in it. He ran his finger down the baby's cheek. I spent 40 years believing that. And now? Now I have a son, and he won't inherit any war. Celeste sat up in bed, ignoring the pain. It doesn't work like that. You can't just leave. They won't let you. Who said I'm asking permission? Heavy silence. Celeste knew that tone, the tone of final decisions. You're going to get yourself killed, voice trembling. And Luca will grow up without a father, just like you did. Or, Victor returned the baby to her gently. Or I do it right this time. Transfer everything to Roman. Change my name. We disappear. We. Celeste held Luca tighter. There's no we, Victor. There's me and my son. You're the ghost that showed up today. The words cut, but they were fair. Victor stood, walked to the window. Chicago waking up below. The city that never sleeps, never forgives, never forgets. When you left me, he began, voice low, I thought I'd be able to move on, work more, focus on business, convince myself it was better this way. He turned to her. You know how many women I tried to be interested in after? Celeste didn't answer. None, because they were all you with the wrong face. He returned to the chair, knelt beside the bed. I failed as a husband. I know that. But Celeste, give me a chance not to fail as a father. Victor, you don't have to forgive me, don't have to love me again. Just let me know my son, please. The last word broke something in Celeste, because in 6 years of marriage, Victor Ashford had never said please, had never begged, had never knelt. She closed her eyes. Silent tears. If I let you into his life, I'll honor it. I swear on his life. You swore on mine once. And I broke it. I know. Victor touched her hand. But Celeste, look at him. Look at our son. She looked. He deserves to have a father, and I deserve the chance to be one. Celeste stayed silent for so long that Victor thought she'd say no. Then, conditions. He breathed. What? You don't decide anything about him without me. You don't take him anywhere related to your business, and if one day I feel he's in danger because of you—" She stared at him. "You disappear. Forever." Victor swallowed. "Agreed." "And Victor," Celeste held his face, "this time when you promise to change, actually change, because if you break his heart like you broke mine, I guarantee there won't be a place in the world where you can hide from me." He smiled. Sad. "True. I won't break it. We'll see." And that morning, while Chicago woke up indifferent, 3 people began an impossible journey. A mother who didn't trust, a father who didn't know how, and a baby who, unknowingly, had already saved them both. 3 days later, Victor stood outside Celeste's brownstone in Lincoln Park, holding bags he'd never imagined buying. Diapers, formula, tiny clothes that seemed made for dolls, a car seat that took him 40 minutes, and a YouTube tutorial to install correctly. Roman had laughed when Victor asked him to watch the video 3 times. Boss ordering hits? No problem. Boss installing baby gear? Priceless. Now, on Celeste's doorstep, Victor felt more nervous than before his first kill. He knocked. Once, gentle. The door opened. Celeste stood there in sweatpants and an oversized sweater, hair in a messy bun, no makeup. She'd never looked more beautiful. "You came." She sounded genuinely surprised. "Said I would. Men say a lot of things." But she stepped aside. "He's sleeping, finally." The brownstone was nothing like their old loft. Smaller, warmer, books stacked on shelves instead of hidden away, plants in windows, photos on walls, her family, friends, a life she'd built without him. No photos of them. Victor set the bags down quietly. "Where do you want these?" "Kitchen table is fine." Celeste closed the door, locked it twice. "Old habit. You didn't have to buy all that. Nurse gave me a list." "Sarah?" He nodded. "She also gave me her number. Said to call if I had questions." Victor pulled out his phone, showed Celeste the notes. Pages of them. "I've been reading about newborn care for 3 days straight." Celeste's expression softened. Just slightly. Victor Ashford reading baby books. Victor Ashford trying not to screw up his son's life before it starts. A cry pierced the silence. Small, insistent. Celeste moved immediately, but Victor touched her arm. "Let me." "You don't—" "I know I don't know. That's why I need to learn." He looked at her. Really looked. "Please." She hesitated, then stepped back. Victor climbed the narrow stairs to what used to be a guest room. Now it was painted soft blue. Crib in the corner. Mobile with stars hanging above. The smell of baby powder and new beginnings. Luca lay in the crib, face red, fists clenched, crying like the world was ending. "Hey." Victor's voice came out rough. He cleared his throat, tried again. "Hey, little man. I know it's scary being new." He picked Luca up the way the YouTube video showed. One hand under the head, one supporting the bottom. The baby felt impossibly fragile, like he could break with one wrong move. But then Luca opened his eyes. Grey meeting grey, and something in Victor's chest cracked open. "I'm your dad." The words felt foreign, heavy, sacred. "I know I don't look like much. Your mum could tell you all the ways I've failed, but I'm trying, Luca. I'm going to try so hard for you." The crying stopped. Luca stared at him, eyes wide, trying to focus. "That's it. It's just me." Victor swayed slightly, remembering how his mother used to hold him, before she died, before everything went dark. "I won't let what happened to me happen to you. You're going to have choices I never had, a life I never got." Footsteps on the stairs. Celeste appeared in the doorway, arms crossed, but her eyes were wet. "He stopped crying." She sounded accusatory. "It took me 2 hours earlier. Maybe he needed to meet his old man." Victor kept swaying. "Or maybe he's just tired. He's not the only one." Celeste leaned against the doorframe. "I haven't slept more than 2 hours straight since we got home. Then sleep now, I've got him." "Victor, you can't—" "Why, because I'm a Mafia boss?" He looked at her over their son's head. "Or because you don't trust me?" "Both. Fair. Then let me earn it." Victor carried Luca to the rocking chair in the corner. Sat carefully. "Go rest. 2 hours. I'll wake you if anything happens." Celeste stayed in the doorway for a long moment. Then, so quietly, he almost missed it. "There's a bottle in the fridge. Warm it in hot water, not the microwave. Test it on your wrist first." "Got it. And Victor." She turned to leave. "Thank you." She disappeared down the stairs. And Victor Ashford, the man who'd built an empire on fear, sat in a rocking chair holding his son and felt something he'd forgotten existed. Peace. 2 weeks became a rhythm. Victor showed up every morning at 7, brought coffee, the way Celeste liked it, with oat milk and honey, a detail he'd never forgotten, held Luca while she showered, changed diapers with the concentration of someone defusing bombs, left before sunset, before anyone could mistake this for what it wasn't. A family. But tonight was different. Snow fell thick outside, blanketing Chicago in white silence. Victor had stayed late helping Celeste assemble a changing table that came with instructions in 3 languages, none helpful. "This piece doesn't fit here." Celeste held up a wooden panel, frustrated. "Because that's piece F. We need piece D. They look exactly the same." "No, look," Victor pointed. "F has 2 holes, D has 3. Who designs this?" But she grabbed piece D, fitted it. Perfect click. Oh. They worked in comfortable silence. Luca slept in his bassinet nearby, oblivious to his parents building his world piece by piece. When they finished, Celeste sat back on the floor, exhausted. "I can't remember the last time we did something like this." "Built furniture. Existed in the same room without fighting." Victor sat beside her. "Not too close, close enough. We had good moments. Between the bad ones." She pulled her knees to her chest. "Do you remember the night you proposed? October, Millennium Park. You were wearing that green dress. It was blue." "It was green, like lake water in summer." He smiled slightly. "You said yes before I finished asking, because I was afraid you'd change your mind." Celeste looked at him. "I knew what you were, Victor. Everyone warned me. But I thought love was enough." "It wasn't." "No." She picked at the carpet. "But maybe we were too young. Maybe I expected you to choose me over everything you'd ever known. You should have expected that." His voice was quiet but firm. "A wife should never compete with ghosts." "Is that what your business is? Ghosts?" Victor looked at Luca sleeping, at this tiny person who'd rewritten every equation in his life. "My father started our organization when he was 23. Built it with his brothers. They were immigrants, no money, no options, no mercy. He told me once that he didn't choose this life. It chose him. Do you believe that?" "I used to." Victor turned to her. "Now I think we all have choices. We just convince ourselves we don't because it's easier." Celeste studied him in the dim light. The man she married was still there. Sharp jaw, cold eyes, dangerous grace. But something had shifted. Something had softened. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I've made my choice." Victor stood, walked to the window. Snow fell heavier now. "I met with Roman yesterday, told him he's taking over." Celeste's breath caught. "What?" "The business, the territory, everything. It's his." "Victor, you can't just—" "I can, and I did." He turned from the window. "I've spent 20 years building an empire. And for what? So I could die like my father, alone in a warehouse with bullets in my chest?" He looked at Luca. "Or so I could watch my son grow up hating me. They won't let you walk away." "I'm not walking, I'm running." Victor came back, knelt in front of her. "Celeste, I have money they don't know about, accounts in places they'll never find. I can buy us new identities, new lives. Us. You. Me. Luca." He took her hands. She didn't pull away. "I know I don't deserve another chance. I know I broke every promise I made, but I'm making one more." His voice cracked. "Let me be your husband again. Let me be his father. Let me prove that people can change." Tears streamed down Celeste's face. "Victor, I love you." The words fell like prayers. "I never stopped, even when I should have, even when it hurt. I love you." She closed her eyes. "Loving you almost killed me. I know. If I let you back in, if I let myself hope again." She opened her eyes. "And you fail us. Then you take Luca and go, and I'll live with that for the rest of my life." He pressed his forehead to hers. "But Celeste, I won't fail. Not this time." She kissed him, soft, desperate, full of 3 years of missing him, and when they pulled apart, she whispered, "Don't make me regret this." The next morning, Victor woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows. For a moment he forgot where he was. Then he felt warmth beside him, Celeste, curled into his chest, breathing steady and deep. And in the bassinet next to the bed, Luca made small sounds in his sleep. Victor Ashford, who'd slept alone for 3 years, felt his throat tighten. This is real. He slipped out of bed carefully, pulled on his pants. Celeste stirred but didn't wake. Downstairs, the brownstone was cold. He found the thermostat, turned up the heat, then stood in the kitchen trying to remember how normal people made breakfast. Coffee first. That he knew. The machine gurgled to life. Victor found eggs in the fridge, bread, butter. He'd watched Celeste make breakfast 1,000 times during their marriage, never thought to learn. Now he cracked eggs into a pan and hoped muscle memory would guide him. "You're burning them." He turned. Celeste stood in the doorway wearing his shirt from yesterday, hair wild, eyes soft. "I'm trying." "I know." She came over, turned down the heat, took the spatula from him. "Like this." Gentle. They stood there, her hand over his, cooking eggs together while Chicago woke up outside. "Victor." Her voice was quiet. "When you said you're leaving the business, I meant it. Roman won't just accept that, your uncle won't. The families won't. Then they'll have to kill me." He said it simply, like ordering coffee. "But I'll make sure you and Luca are hidden first, so deep they'll never find you." Celeste turned off the stove, faced him. "That's not good enough." "What do you mean?" "I mean Luca needs a father who's alive." Fire in her eyes now. "Not a martyr, not a memory. A father. I'm working on that. Work faster." She grabbed his face. "You want to prove you've changed? Then actually walk away. Don't leave bodies behind. Don't leave threats. Just leave. It's not that simple. Make it simple." Her voice broke. "Because I can't do this, Victor. I can't love you and lose you again. I barely survived the first time." A cry from upstairs. Luca, demanding their attention. "I'll get him." Victor kissed her forehead. "Make us breakfast. Real breakfast." "This is beyond me." He climbed the stairs 2 at a time, found Luca red-faced and furious. All right, all right." Victor picked him up, changed his diaper with practiced efficiency now. "Your mother's right, you know. I need to figure this out." He buttoned the onesie. "But how do you leave everything you've ever known, everyone who depends on you?" Luca stared at him with those gray eyes. So serious, so trusting. "Yeah, you're right. You just do it." Victor held his son close. "Watch. I'll show you how a man keeps his promises." Later, after breakfast, after Celeste went upstairs to nap, Victor made a call. "Roman." "Boss." Roman's voice was cautious. "Everything okay?" "Meeting. Tonight. The warehouse on Ashland. Everyone important." "What's this about?" Victor looked at Luca sleeping in his arms, at Celeste's coffee cup still warm on the table. At this life he was choosing. "It's about the end." He hung up. The rest of the day passed in slow motion. Victor memorized things. The way Celeste hummed while folding Luca's clothes, the weight of his son in his arms, the smell of this brownstone that had become home without him noticing. At 6 p.m. he put on his suit, his gun, his armor. Celeste appeared in the bedroom doorway. "Where are you going?" "To end it." Her face went white. "Victor, I'll be back. I promise." He came to her, cupped her face. "But I need you to promise me something." "What?" "If I'm not back by midnight." He pressed a key into her hand. "Storage unit on West Division. Everything you need, money, papers, instructions. Take Luca and run." "No." Tears fell. "No. You're coming back." "I am." He kissed her, deep, desperate. "But if I don't, promise me you'll give Luca a good life? Tell him his father loved him, that he tried." "Victor, please." "Promise me, Celeste." She sobbed against his chest. "I promise." He held her until his phone buzzed. Time. At the door, he looked back. Celeste stood in the hallway holding Luca, both of them backlit by warm light. His family, his reason, his salvation or his death. The warehouse on Ashland smelled of oil and old violence. Victor arrived to find 20 men waiting. His inner circle, the ones who'd killed for him, who'd die for him, who'd never forgive him for what he was about to do. Roman stood at the front, arms crossed. "Everyone's here, boss." "Good." Victor walked to the center. No podium, no distance. "I'm sure you're all wondering why I called this meeting." Silence, heavy, waiting. "I'm out." Simple, final. Effective immediately. Roman takes over everything. Territory, operations, contacts, all of it. The room exploded. "What the hell? You can't just... Who do you think?" "Quiet." Roman's voice cut through the chaos. He stared at Victor. "Boss, we need to talk. Privately." "No." Victor's voice was steel. Everyone deserves to hear this. I've led this family for 15 years, made you all rich, kept you alive, and now I'm choosing to walk away. Because of a woman. Tony, one of the old guard, spat. Because your ex showed up with a kid? Victor's hand moved to his gun. Roman stepped between them. Easy, boss. My son, Victor said slowly, is not a kid. And yes, partially because of him. And his mother. And the life I want that doesn't involve watching my back every second. That's weakness, someone muttered. No. Victor scanned the room. Weakness is pretending this life is sustainable. We've all lost people, friends, family. How many of you have kids you barely see? Wives who flinch when you come home? Silence. That's not strength. That's prison. So we all just walk away. Roman's voice was quiet. Dangerous. 20 years of building this, and you want to dismantle it. I want to give you a choice. Victor pulled out a folder. In here are accounts. My personal money. Not family money. Mine. Split evenly between everyone in this room. Enough for anyone who wants out to get out. And if we don't want out, Tony again, then Roman leads. You follow him like you followed me. The organization continues. I just won't be part of it. They'll see it as weakness, another voice. The other families, they'll move on our territory. Let them try. Roman finally spoke. I've been watching the boss for 15 years. I know what he knows. And anyone who thinks this family is weak without him can test that theory. He looked around the room. With their life. Murmurs. Some agreeing, some still angry. This is about more than leaving. Tony stepped forward. You know things, boss. Names. Operations. What stops you from talking? The room went dead silent. Victor smiled. Cold. Empty. Because if I wanted you all dead, you'd already be dead, Tony. I could have called the feds years ago. Could have made deals. Could have saved myself. He pulled out his phone. Instead, I'm offering you freedom or loyalty. Your choice. He placed the phone on the table between them. On the screen, a video file. That's me, confessing to every major crime I've committed in 15 years. Names, dates, evidence. Victor looked at each man. If anything happens to me, my wife, or my son, that file goes to every news outlet and law enforcement agency in the country. You'll all go down with me. That's insurance. Victor cut off Tony. Because I'm walking away, but I'm not stupid. I protect my family. And if that means burning everyone here, I'll do it without hesitation. Roman laughed. Actual laughter. Ruthless to the end. Just want to be clear where we stand. We're clear, boss. Roman extended his hand. Good luck. Hope that kid knows how lucky he is. Victor shook it. Firm. Final. Then turned to leave. Victor. Tony's voice stopped him. For what it's worth, I hope you make it. Not many of us get a second chance. Victor nodded. Walked out. Behind him, the room erupted in conversation. Arguments, plans. But he didn't look back. In the car, his hands shook. He gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles went white. It's done. He checked his phone. 11:47 p.m. 13 minutes until Celeste's deadline. Victor drove through empty Chicago streets, snow falling like absolution, and for the first time in 30 years felt something close to freedom. His phone buzzed. Text from Celeste. I see you pulling up. Hurry, Luca wants his dad. Victor Ashford, former Mafia boss, smiled and went home. Morning came with Luca's cries and the smell of coffee. Victor woke, disoriented, then remembered he'd fallen asleep on Celeste's couch, fully clothed, around 2 a.m. She'd let him hold Luca until his arms went numb. Told him about the 3 months she'd hidden the pregnancy, terrified and alone. Cried when he apologized for the 1,000th time. Now sunlight streamed through windows he'd helped install new locks on yesterday. Day 1 of forever. You're awake, Celeste appeared, Luca on her hip. There's coffee, and someone wants you. She handed him their son. Victor took him, still amazed every time that this tiny person was his. Morning, little man. He kissed Luca's forehead. Ready for a boring life with your old man? Boring? Celeste sat beside him. You literally left the Mafia last night. Exactly. From now on, the most exciting thing I do is change diapers. She laughed. Real laughter. The sound he'd missed for 3 years. Victor Ashford, domestic god. Give me time. I'll master the art of grocery shopping. Speaking of which, she grabbed her phone. We need to talk about practical things. Like where we're actually going to live. This brownstone is under my name. If they wanted to find you, they won't. Victor shifted Luca to his shoulder. But you're right. We need to move. Soon. Where? I've been thinking about that. He looked at her. What if we left Chicago entirely? Celeste's breath caught. Leave? New names. New city. Complete fresh start. Victor's voice was steady. I have a contact in Seattle. He owes me. Can set us up with everything. Documentation, housing, jobs. Jobs. Well, I'll need one now. He smiled slightly. I was thinking maybe something with my hands. Construction, carpentry, something real. Victor. Celeste touched his face. You're serious. Completely. He took her hand. Celeste Bennett and Victor Ashford die here, in Chicago, and somewhere else. Two people who just happen to look like us start over, with their son. That's insane. That's survival. His grip tightened. The file I mentioned last night? It's real, but it's also leverage I can only use once. If we stay, eventually someone will call that bluff. But if we disappear, we're free. We're free. Luca chose that moment to spit up on Victor's shirt. Both parents looked down at the white stains spreading across expensive fabric. Well, Victor said dryly, guess I won't need designer clothes anymore. Celeste burst out laughing, real, deep, uncontrolled laughter. And then she was crying. And then Victor was holding both her and Luca while she sobbed against his shoulder. I'm terrified, she whispered. What if it doesn't work? What if they find us? What if you... I won't. He kissed her temple. I won't leave you again. I won't fail him. This is it, Celeste. This is my last chance and I know it. She pulled back, wiped her eyes. When do we leave? 3 days? That enough time? To abandon my entire life? She laughed wetly. Sure. Why not? You don't have to leave everything. Bring what matters. What matters is right here. She looked at Luca, at Victor. Everything else is just stuff. They spent the day making lists. What to pack, what to sell, what to burn. Celeste called her sister, made up a story about a job opportunity in Seattle. Victor contacted his person, set everything in motion. That night, after Luca was asleep, they lay in bed together for the first time in years. Victor. Celeste's voice was small in the darkness. Yeah? I'm still mad at you. For everything. I know. And I don't fully trust you yet. I'll earn it. And if you ever put our son in danger, she turned to face him, I will destroy you. Completely. I believe you. She was quiet for a moment. Then, but I love you. Still, stupidly, completely. Victor pulled her close. I love you too. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving I deserve it. You better. Outside, Chicago slept, unaware that in 3 days 3 people would vanish, that a Mafia boss would become a carpenter, that a broken family would attempt the impossible, healing. 2 days before they were supposed to leave, Victor's phone rang. Unknown number. His new phone, the one only Roman had. Celeste saw his face change. What's wrong? Stay here. He stepped into the hallway, answered. Yeah. Boss. Roman's voice was tight, urgent. We have a problem. Victor's blood went cold. Talk. Your uncle found out, about you leaving, about the kid. Pause. He's calling a sit-down. Tomorrow night. Says you owe the family an explanation. I gave my explanation. Not to him. And you know Uncle Sal won't accept no for an answer. Victor rubbed his face. His uncle, the man who'd raised him after his father died, who'd taught him everything, who'd never forgive this betrayal. What do you want me to do? Roman asked. Nothing. I'll handle it. Victor, he's bringing the old guard. If they vote against you leaving, then I'll deal with that too. He looked back at the apartment. At Celeste, visible through the doorway, holding Luca. Thanks for the warning. Be careful, boss. Your uncle, he's different lately. Paranoid. Victor hung up, stood in the cold hallway trying to figure out how to tell Celeste they had one more obstacle. He didn't have to. She was already in the doorway. What's wrong? My uncle wants to meet. When? Tomorrow night. We leave tomorrow night. I know. Victor came back inside, closed the door. Which is why I'm going alone. You and Luca leave as planned. I'll meet you in Seattle once this is handled. Absolutely not. Celeste put Luca in his bassinet, turned on Victor. We leave together or not at all? Celeste, no. Fire in her eyes. I've watched you walk into danger alone for 6 years. I'm not doing it again. This is different. How? Because if it goes wrong, you need to be far away. He grabbed her shoulders. Please, take our son somewhere safe. I'll finish this and come to you, I promise. Your promises have broken you. I know. His voice cracked. But this one I'll keep, because that boy in that bassinet deserves a father who shows up. Celeste's eyes filled. What if you can't? What if your uncle? Then you raise Luca to be better than me. Tell him his father tried. Victor pulled her close. But I will come back. I will. She cried against his chest. He held her, and outside, Chicago prepared for snow. The next day moved in slow motion. Victor helped Celeste pack, watched her fold tiny clothes and wrap memories in bubble wrap, held Luca for hours, memorizing his weight, his smell, his serious little face. At 3 p.m. a car arrived, not Victor's. Something anonymous, Roman's doing. This is it. Celeste stood by the door, bags at her feet, Luca strapped to her chest. Promise me you're coming. I promise. Say it like you mean it. Victor took her face in his hands. Celeste Bennett, I am coming back to you. I am going to be a father to our son. I am going to prove that people can change. This is not goodbye. She kissed him. Desperate. Final. It better not be. Then she was gone. The door closing. Footsteps fading. Engine starting. Victor stood in the empty brownstone surrounded by the ghost of the life they'd almost had, and made himself a promise. Whatever happens tonight, Celeste and Luca stay safe, even if he didn't. At 8 p.m. he put on his best suit. His father's watch. No gun. Sign of respect for the sit-down. Roman texted, "Car's outside. Good luck, boss." Victor looked around one last time. At the bassinet. The changing table they'd built together. The coffee cup still in the sink. Then he walked out. Into the snow. Into the night. Into a meeting that would either end with his freedom or his death. And as the car drove through Chicago's dark streets, Victor Ashford thought about his son, about grey eyes so serious, about a future he might not see but would die protecting. The restaurant was closed, but lights blazed inside. Victor entered through the back. His uncle's signature move, everything looking normal from outside while darkness happened within. The dining room had been cleared. One long table remained. His uncle sat at the head, flanked by 8 men. The old guard, the ones who'd served his father, who'd served him, who now looked at Victor like he was already dead. Nephew. Salvatore Ashford was 70, but moved like 40. Silver hair, cold eyes. The most dangerous man Victor had ever known. Sit. Victor sat at the opposite end. 10 feet of polished wood between them. You know why you're here. Not a question. I can guess. Then save us time. Explain. Salvatore leaned back. Explain why my nephew, my blood, thinks he can just walk away from this family. Because I have a son now, and I want him to have a different life. A different life? Salvatore laughed. Empty sound. Your father said the same thing once. About you. Look how that turned out. Exactly. Victor's voice was steady. My father died in a warehouse with bullets in his chest. I was 12, and I swore I'd never let my son grow up like I did. Noble. Salvatore's eyes went cold. Also irrelevant. You don't get to choose, Victor. None of us do. The family chooses. Then the family chooses wrong. Silence. Absolute. Deadly. Careful, nephew. Why? Victor stood. What are you going to do, Uncle? Kill me? In front of all these witnesses? Break the one rule my father died protecting. Family doesn't kill family. Rules change. Then change them. Victor spread his arms. Do it. Right here. Right now. Make me a martyr. And watch what happens when that video I told Roman about goes public. Salvatore's face darkened. You're bluffing. Am I? Victor pulled out his phone. Showed the screen. One button, Uncle. That's all it takes. And everyone in this room goes down. You, them, the entire organization. You destroy everything your father built to save my son. Without hesitation. Victor pocketed the phone. But I'm offering you a choice. Let me walk away. Clean. Final. I disappear. You never hear from me again and that video stays buried. And if I refuse, then we all burn together. Victor's voice was ice. Because I'm leaving here tonight one way or another. Either walking out that door or in a body bag that triggers the end of everything you've built. Salvatore stood slowly, walked around the table, stopped inches from Victor. You've changed. He studied Victor's face. 3 months ago, You'd never have made this play. 3 months ago, I didn't have a son. This woman, she's made you weak. No. Victor smiled slightly. She's made me strong enough to walk away. They stood there, uncle and nephew, 2 generations of violence and blood staring each other down. Then Salvatore laughed. Real laughter. You're more like your father than I thought. He clapped Victor's shoulder. Hard. He wanted out too. In the end. Then why didn't he leave? Because I convinced him. He couldn't. Salvatore's smile faded. And it got him killed. And it destroyed you. He stepped back. I won't make that mistake twice. Victor's heart stopped. What? You want out? Fine. Take your video. Your threats. Your new life. Salvatore returned to his seat. But Victor, if you ever come back, if you ever contact anyone here, if your son ever tries to join this life, his eyes went dead. I'll kill you myself, slowly, while your family watches. They won't. I promise. Good. Salvatore waved a hand. Then we're done. Victor Ashford died tonight. Tell whoever you become. Good luck. Victor stood there, not quite believing it. Just like that? Just like that. His uncle poured whiskey. Now get out, before I change my mind. Victor walked to the door, stopped, looked back. Uncle, thank you. Salvatore didn't turn around. Thank your son. He saved your life tonight. Pause. Now disappear, and never come back. Victor left. Outside, snow fell like forgiveness. He pulled out his phone, texted Celeste. Coming home, pack light, we leave tonight. 3 dots appeared, then, we'll be ready. I love you. Victor Ashford, soon to be someone else, got in the car and drove toward a future he'd almost lost. Toward freedom, toward family, toward love. If this story moved you, subscribe so you never miss another. Tell us in the comments what you'd sacrifice for a second chance. Because sometimes the bravest thing we can do isn't holding on to power. It's knowing when to let go. See you in the next story.